I'm sorry I skipped your party.
Oh, please. Books that are alive, in the magical land of Equestria. Who would freak out like that at this point?
Hello.
Ah, what the shit? Am I seriously talking to a sketch?
Why do they always freak out like that?
Well, it's not very often that I see a book alive.
I found that offensive.
Offensive? How so? Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come off like that.
I'm just messing with you. What brings you to this book?
Oh, well, I was just looking up the values of what other methods there are for brainstorming and critiquing, as I'm finding more to say about Amending Fences. The episode was great, but I had so little to say about it.
So little? How come?
Well, it's a personal episode on what happened to the character, and there's nice callbacks that play a huge role. But that's all I have to say about it. It doesn't come off convincing enough to me.
I related with Twilight and her friends immensely. When I began college, my friends sort of fell off the face of the planet, and let's be honest, so did I. I had begun making efforts to reconnect with them, sort of like Twilight did. But I also felt a deep connection to Moondancer from the same situation that she was in, so this episode was sort of personal to me.
Well then, by all means, how about we talk about it together?
Well, you got the technicals, I got the impact, why not?
Perfect. Greetings to you all, I am GoldenFox.
And my name is Doodle Dabble, and I'm a doodle.
Let's not beat around the bush. This episode was very well done. It was a huge impact on a lot of us, as the majority of the fandom was not only able to relate to it, but also how well presented the scenarios are in general. Ever since then, people have favored this episode quite well, and it's not hard to see why.
I know this episode will rank high on both my enjoyability and appreciation scales. It was funny, it was relatable, it had the analyst singing praise of its continuity, and the characterization was impeccable. It's easy to see why it's so beloved by the fandom.
Twilight discovers her previous time being in Ponyville when she realizes that she didn't think too much about her old friends in Canterlot, so she decides to stroll there to reunite with them and settle her regrets. They are Minuet, Lemonhearts, and Twinkleshine. Easily, however, they forgive Twilight. With one last friend left comes Moondancer. Right from the start, we're given a call back all the way to the pilot episode. It explores on what Twilight used to do before united with the main six we all knew of. This alone makes the episode exciting as it explores Twilight's character more and we see who else she used to be with.
The reasoning of why they didn't hold it against her was disheartening to Twilight, and a bit to myself as well. They just shrugged and said, it was you, we weren't really expecting too much. Colgate was immediately brimming with excitement as the Princess of Friendship was refriending her. A little off-putting, but to be honest, I had to contain my excitement when my friend that went off to be an international model decided he wanted to reconnect with everyone.
Well, that's one way to look at it. By the way, did you say Colgate? Her name is Minuet.
You mean Colgate?
Minuet.
What kind of musician would have an hourglass as their cutie mark?
Musician? What are you talking about?
Minuet, a musical term. A slow, stately ballroom dance for two in triple time, popular especially in the 18th century. A piece of music in triple time in the style of a minuet. You've seen The Music Man, right?
No, all I know is that it influenced Flim and Flam's song from an episode I don't want to talk about.
Oh, don't worry about that. They're special talents ripping things off. The Music Man's a classic musical, and there's a piece in there called the Minuet in G that the kids are taught to play. It's a musical term.
That's beyond irrelevant, just that's what her name is.
Okay, fine. Then maybe her cutie mark is because she steps in time. Anyways, the one person who can't seem to forgive her so quickly is Moondancer.
As mentioned in the pilot episode, Twilight was invited to her party. As obvious, she couldn't attend. Since then, it's left a rather slow impact on her, and Twilight begins to put the pieces together. Fascinated on how far the show has gone as it makes its comeback to what started. But I digress. Part of what hurts Twilight is that she was a very close friend of Moondancer, making it rather hard for her to make up for the mistake of not coming to the party when it was important to her.
It's an understandable reaction. In high school and middle school, I felt abandoned when I'd find out my friends' weekend plans by their Facebook photos on Monday. Her feelings especially made sense when you add in the explanation she gave at the end of the episode of why it was so important to her for Twilight to come. This, however, was not evident to Twilight. Twilight had different priorities that day. Until she finds this out, though, Twilight is determined to make it up to her.
In doing so, she makes her some deals, one of which was teaching the Haycots method, then gaining access to the library with the condition of hanging out with her friends.
Oh, if you ask me, it's already quite the deal. I jumped out of my seat when I saw Twilight doodled in that textbook. She's another pony that knows Haycart's method, and soon another! It's not very common among the ponies of Canterlot, but it's my favorite technique, as you can probably tell. Eventually I'll make a video of my backstory, but long story short, this is my area of expertise.
Sadly though, nothing works, and it hurts Twilight as she envisions more about how much of an impact Moondancer has had. However, she gets an idea. With the inclusion of Pinkie Pie, a new party is set up for Dancer as she is led by a trail of books. Are you sure those books aren't going to be stolen? Hell, for that matter, I thought Moon would be smarter than to follow that trail. Anyway, as she arrives, what follows is one of the most emotionally well-presented scenes in the episode.
That was only the first time I ever put myself out there, and then you didn't even bother to show up. Then you left town without saying goodbye, even though we were supposed to be friends. I was humiliated. I felt like I wasn't important. I never wanted to let myself be hurt like that again. Those three finally convinced me that I had value, that other ponies might like me and want to be my friend, and you didn't show up! Ah!
Now here is the pinnacle of the episode. There are several of us who have had monologues like this before, whether it be us trying to express how difficult it was for us to stand out and be sociable, or if we're just trying to explain that we felt behind by our friends. And yet many of us have even been on Twilight's end, not even realizing what we did or what we didn't do, and how it hurt them so deeply.
While many can relate to Twilight's end, I can relate to Moondancer's end to some degree. I've been through some scenarios that have impacted me to the point of changing myself, some of which were minimal and others I felt were brutal, or lack thereof. I won't go over my personal experience, but I will point out that some people's troubles can eventually tear them down and change them for the worst, just like what happened to Moondancer. She was enjoying her time with Twilight until she was no longer around. Since then, it changed her. I guarantee you a lot can identify with what Moondancer has been through. But the icing on the cake is what we learn from this kind of event, and that is to not dwell too heavily on what it is, or make it the reason for you to change who you are. That is of course dependable on the many kinds of occasions, but nevertheless, it's something to think about when you come to your past experiences.
And I was beginning to wonder if they would cover the idea of how directions in which life takes us can affect with whom we have our relationships. There's a quote, "We have friends for a reason, friends for a season, and friends for a lifetime, iterator unknown," which speaks to the different types of friend. All friends are true friends, and growing up...
It's always about what you want, and whenever they weren't what you expected, you sulk, you moan, you whine, you bitch, and you have your temper tantrum. That's what you've been doing all these years, having a temper tantrum that you're not good enough, and they'll never forgive you.
I've had to learn that our friendship didn't mean anything less because of the difference in duration. For a majority of the episode, this moral was what I thought the episode was aiming to teach, but it's not entitled Amending Fences for no reason. I think the moral that it teaches is an important one to learn even still, that, like you said, it's important not to let an experience change who you are. Further, I'd like to add that Twilight learns that we can offend people without even realizing how deeply we did, and that even still it's important for the realization of it to respond to that.
Now, don't take this the wrong way. Experiences are a thing that helps you grow in life, including hard experiences, but there are better ways of learning from them and taking them into account. It's human nature to make mistakes, even if there are ones that can unintentionally offend and hurt others, but you shouldn't dwell too much on them. Rather, learn from them. It's a bit repetitive of me at this point, but the message can be taken wrongly. This episode doesn't show it wrongly though, and I heavily appreciate that. In conclusion, this episode is one hell of an emotional roller coaster as it's a personal side. Everyone can connect with it. It's a bit slow in some parts, but it doesn't take away the experience. It's enjoyable, well relatable, gives us and utilizes its callbacks along with one aspect I'm curious of. Since Twilight has had her connections with her prior friends, it's just a question of when if we'll see them again or not.
The animation was great, had the animator's usual gems of creativity and the expressions and background characters, including Twilight's foil cameo, which I think would be fun to be referenced in the season finale. The script writing is everything we all love from MLP, that intersection between quality and relatability. It resonated with the audience, including myself, for many reasons.
So, are you gonna chill here?
Not for too much longer. There's too many topics to cover to stay in one book for too long. But maybe I'll catch you around on another book.
Well, until next time, this is GoldenFox.
And I'm Doodle Dabble. Hope to see you around my sketchbook soon.
And I'll see you